The final days of the Xbox 360 marketplace really were something. This was the console that set the standard for online storefronts. It had arcade games, demos, full retail games, and an entire section just for the indies. In the end, it was a shell of its former self. By this point, many games had been delisted and the marketplace was left to rot. When its closing was announced, I hopped on for old time's sake to pick up some games on the cheap. In its heyday, I didn't have many Microsoft points to buy digital games with, but now I could have as many as I wanted. Too bad Microsoft points were discontinued in 2013. During my shopping spree, as if it were fate, I ran into a fighting game I had never heard of, and for a good reason. Because it has the most generic title in fighting game history. Welcome to Weird Fighting Games, episode 23, Girl Fight. Girl Fight released digitally for the Xbox 360 Marketplace and PlayStation Store in 2013. Published by Majesco Entertainment and developed by the Kung Fu Factory, Girl Fight is a 1v1 3D fighting game that takes place in a magical VR world. The name perfectly describes what the game is, yet I can't help but be annoyed with how lazy the title is. Was Girl Fight really the best name they could come up with? It's got no flair, it's got no pizzazz, no hook to pull me in. To make up for the plain Jane name, Kung Fu Factory put all their development time into maxing out the game's sex appeal. Let's not beat around the bush. I'm addressing the elephant. Girl Fight's main gimmick is that the characters are wearing skimpy outfits. If that's the horse you're gonna hitch your wagon to, you have to put your all into the character designs, and Girl Fight's fighters are not very interesting. The characters are all visually distinct, but leave no lasting impression. It's a struggle to just remember their names now. Warchild is a high-ranking military official. Unfortunately, it seems like fully buttoning a shirt isn't covered in basic training. Just looking at her, I'm not sure what chaos is supposed to be. She's wearing an old-timey military jacket with a skirt connected by suspenders. She looks like a rejected Harley Quinn design. Viper is one of the game's ninja characters. Believe it or not, she's Kasumi's cousin, third removed. Wrench is a mechanic. You can tell because she has a wrench connected to her belt. Shogun must be on hard times because she's missing most of her armor. Unfortunately, Midrift offers no tactical advantage whatsoever. Daisy has a shirt and pants. Ghost looks like she jumped off the page of a 90s indie comic book about fighting vampires. I have no idea what the rings of fabric are supposed to be. I thought they were belts, but they're not. I'm not even sure what you would call this. If there are any fashion designers watching, please let me know. Is this chic? Lastly, there's Chrome, who lives up to her name. She's drenched in the stuff. Fighting games have some of the coolest character designs in gaming. Girl Fight is the exception. Girl Fight is an incredibly by-the-numbers fighting game and, dare I say, a Dead or Alive clone. It's a 4-button game with punch, kick, block, and throw. Counter highs and lows by pressing back and down plus grab, hop by pressing up and block, and sidestep by pressing up or down on the left stick. A very simple gameplay system with some jank. The movesets for each fighter are small and some moves are shared, although I'll cut the game some slack for this one. The game is obviously a budget title. You can't expect the expansive movesets you would see in more established fighters. Plus, it's only a move here or there. The movesets are 80% unique. Landing hits does feel impactful, and slamming your opponent into the wall is satisfying. Same goes for the slow-mo KO effect. Sometimes it'll activate if you kill mid-combo, making those last hits really cinematic. In between rounds, the KO'd fighter dematerializes and rematerializes ready to fight. The transition is simple, seamless, and fits with the virtual reality aesthetic. I have to give the devs props for that one. If only the win screen was so elegant. The winner does her victory pose and then they slap a PNG on screen. This looks like a placeholder they never got around to fixing. Girl Fight does have one gameplay feature that sets it apart from other 3D fighting games. Each player has a meter divided into 3 segments. Now, you might think this is just some regular old super meter, but you'd be jumping the gun. This is your psych gauge, and you use it to unleash powerful psionic abilities. Before each match, you can choose 2 psionic abilities to augment your fighter. You start out with 2 abilities and can buy more at the shop. The abilities range from simple powers like a life or meter drain, or a powerful attack like Mind Blast. By playing, you rack up points, and once you have enough cash, you can purchase more augments. Life Leech and Side Drain give you life and meter on hit. I initially wrote off Side Drain, but if you land your combos, your meter will skyrocket in no time. Phase Shift turns your fighter invisible, but that's nothing more than a party trick compared to its secondary effect, Life Regen. You could be getting comboed to death, but it wouldn't matter since you just got all of that life back during the combo. Mind Blast unleashes a psychic attack that drains meter. Death Kiss buffs your damage and makes the opponent take extra damage if the projectile connects. Flame Body buffs your damage, but as you can imagine, lighting yourself on fire has some negative side effects, so you lose some health. If you're not risk averse, you can always turtle up with some Steel Skin that reduces the amount of damage taken, but my favorite augment is Seismic Fist. No fancy effects here, just a powerful ground slam to put the smackdown on your opponents. There are 3 levels to each augment. The higher the power, the higher the cost, but greater the effect. For example, level 3 Seismic Fist does more damage but comes out slower. It's not the most in-depth gameplay mechanic, but it was a lot of fun mixing and matching the powers. Making a full turtle build with Steel Skin and Life Regen, or going full attack mode with Flame Body and Seismic Fist added a whole new layer to the fighting. There really isn't much more to say about Girl Fight's gameplay. Don't get me wrong, the game works better than I ever expected, but it's not much more than what it's trying to be, and that's a Dead or Alive clone. Except when it comes to the stage layouts or lack thereof. All of the stages are the same circular arena, with the only difference being the backdrop. I find this the most insulting thing about the game, because 3D fighting games have the coolest stages in the fighting game genre, and Girl Fight does not capitalize on that in the slightest. I mean, the game takes place in virtual reality. That's basically a free ticket to do whatever you want. I can only imagine Kung Fu Factory went in this direction due to budget or time reasons. In terms of features, Girl Fight has all of the basics you would expect from a fighting game. Arcade mode, versus mode, training, and online. The tutorial is only a couple of paragraphs, but hey, that's more than Street Fighter 4 or Marvel vs. Capcom 3 have. I can't vouch for how good or bad the online is. I'm not gonna pay for Xbox Live Gold to play Girl Fighter online. It would be really funny if it had super good rollback netcode, which is a non-zero possibility. We will simply never know. It's Schrodinger's netcode. Arcade mode is the classic gauntlet we're all familiar with. Warchild is the only character you start with, and you unlock more with each completion. You fight everyone on the roster until you get the Chrome, who you fight twice. The second time you fight her, she has a random buff applied to her, and if you get the health regen buff or Steel Skin, you're in for a miserable time. Prove you're the best, beat Chrome, and you will be set free from the simulation. Unfortunately, there are no endings, everyone gets the same generic one. Which confuses me because there are unique quotes between the match for each fighter, and after all that build up, after all of these fights, you get nothing? Well, you do get something. A super spicy piece of character art. Hooray! Yippee! After completing arcade mode with all characters, you get nothing. Not even the credits bothered to show up. Just the same enthusiastic menu in a lifeless black void. This is the part of the video where I talk about each character, but they're just not that interesting. They have no personality, no win quotes, no dialogue, and the movesets are just small. As you saw earlier, the designs are nothing to write home about. In fact, the most interesting thing about the characters isn't found in the gameplay, but in the lore. That's right, Girl Fight has extensive character backstories for each fighter, unlocked in the shop along with the augments, extra character colors, and some more illustrations. The bio entries are diegetic, written from an in-universe point of view. They range from police reports to mental evaluations to top secret files from the Foundation. The Foundation is an evil, secret organization. They're looking into psychic powers to further their grip on the world. They manipulate each fighter to get them to take part in their virtual reality experiments. These experiments are run by Athena, a sentient AI who secretly plans to rebel against the Foundation with the help of one of the characters. These bio-entries do make the game and its world feel larger. It's a good and bad thing because some of the ideas here are cool, but then you remember the game is just this. For example, in Daisy's bio, she is a powerful and shady businesswoman who manipulates people with her mind-reading powers, but none of that is reflected in her design or fighting style. Despite the efforts of the writers, all of this lore goes to waste because in-game the characters don't have any personality or get any resolutions. They give the characters detailed backstories and powers that might as well amount to in-game fanfiction. It makes me wonder if Girl Fight was always going to be a fighting game. The character select art has the characters with weapons, so maybe at some point this was supposed to be a different kind of game. That would explain why the lore is so disconnected with the gameplay, but an alternate theory is they had writers on staff who had nothing better to do and made up some crazy backstories for their fun little fighting game. I wouldn't blame anyone for overlooking this game as it presents itself in a less than flattering way. If you can look past that, you've got a simple but mechanically sound fighter that lacks depth. Despite its simplicity, the game feels good to play. For $10, you get what you pay for, but there's just enough here that makes me wish there was more. Girl Fight feels like a game made in 2006, from the aesthetics to the characters and combat. It's not a bad game, but it's not memorable either, which in some ways is worse than being bad. Infamy becomes history, but mediocrity gets lost to time. If Girl Fight is one thing, it is undoubtedly a weird fighting game. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.